What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with some more Shark Scale, and today we're going to be talking about Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, which I'm very excited to talk about. Finished up the first season a little bit ago now, but like I said, I watched a lot of anime in a short amount of time, so we're kind of pumping these Shark Scales out to get through all of them. But regardless, there might be some spoilers in the talking about it here. I'm going to try to avoid them as much as possible. But we're just going to go through and rank the show and then kind of talk about things I liked, things I didn't like, and then give it a total ranking on the list. Let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So here we have Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. As always, we'll be using the same scale that we always use. All of these things are out of 100, and these things being character, story, world. I completely forgot one. Music / OST. Animations, and my overall enjoyment of the show, and then we will give it an average score out of 100 at the end. So let's not waste any more time, shall we? The characters. The characters in the show are great. If you enjoy a more lighthearted comedy action anime, something similar-ish. I want this to be very clear, similar-ish to something like One Punch Man, then this is going to be a great show for you. The characters are all likable, and they've all got their own unique quirks and fun back and forth between all the characters. The main one, Mashle, he's very... I would think it would be extremely hard to not like Mashle as a character. He's a very likable guy and very good comedic timing, even though he doesn't really try to be. His character just kind of is that way. So I think the characters are pretty good. I don't think there's anything too crazy about them. I'm also going to be trying to stay as relating all of these to just the anime as possible, because I've also read most of the manga for Mashle, and the manga is almost done. So, like, I'm kind of near the end of it in the manga, so I know a lot of stuff that happens way after everything that happens in the first season, but I'm going to try to just keep this about the show. And, I think the characters are cool. Nothing too crazy. There's no, like, insane twists and turns or anything. It's a lot of similar kind of interactions between these characters throughout the first season, but they are pretty likable. Once again, an average would be 70. 70 is what we are considering average. So in order to be above average, we go above 70, but we're not reaching anything too crazy here on these. I'm going to go 76 on characters. They're above average, but there's nothing too wild about it. Next up, we've got the story. This is where it's going to be hard to keep it. I'm going to be basing it just off of the first season and not based off of what I've read in the manga. But the story throughout the first season is a fairly basic one. Once again, there's a couple of like little small twists and turns with some enemies and stuff that happens during the first season, but there's nothing. It's just simple. It's Black Clover and One Punch Man combined. It's an entire world that has, everybody can use magic. Everybody's born with it. This guy doesn't have magic. He's now an outcast. It's a little more extreme. Everybody wants to, kill him and get rid of him. And he just decided, you know what? Fuck that. I'm just going to get myself as jacked as possible and just use my muscles instead of magic to do all the things people with magic can do. So, it's not like it's a unique story. It's not like it's does anything different throughout the first season. So, because of that, I'd say it's fairly average. I'm going to give it a 70. It's an average. It's not bad. I enjoyed Black Clover quite a lot, but it's the same similar story, and it doesn't do anything too unique, different, or exciting with the story throughout the first season, as far as I'm concerned. Next, we've got the world, and it's going to be somewhat similar here on the world. It's above average because it's not a normal, average would be like the setting takes place in just, normal everyday Japan, and there's not a lot of like world building outside of that. Whereas in this show, you've got everybody can use magic, takes place in its own world. It's not an established world already. But the world building, once again, is all based around this whole concept of everybody being able to use magic except for this one guy. So it's not a unique change, I would say. Once again, Black Clover comes to mind here. And it doesn't do any sort of world building that's too different from a lot of other stuff. I mean, once again, when season 2 of this comes out, we'll watch season 2 and see what season 2 does, because I know how they world build in the manga, but the anime could be different. You never really know. So for season 1, this is going to be just above average. We're going to put it, and I'll put it even a little lower at 73. It's a little bit above average because it's not just a normal world. There's some fun, exciting elements about it. The whole divine visionary thing's pretty cool, but it's not at a high level yet. So we're going to put it at 73 for now. Next up, we got the music and OST, which is where we're going to take a little bit of a jump upwards here, because they actually did a really, really good job with the OST. The soundtracks during fights are really, really, really good. Super high intensity, energetic, very, very serious music that makes you kind of get into the fights more, which is nice. The opening is always a really big one. I'm not a huge fan of Mashle's opening. I'd say it's a below average one. Just not a fan of it at all, really. But the soundtrack during the fights makes up for it, and the ending song is also phenomenal. They made an entire song about cream puffs, which is obviously one of the main things for Mashle. That's like his whole motivation for existing, pretty much that and his quote-unquote dad. But, yeah, I think the music is really, really good. It adds a lot to the fight scenes, and once again, the ending is a very enjoyable and fun listen. So we're going to get this up into the 80s. I'm going to put it at like an 84. It's not like, we're not cracking the 90s here. It's not a top tier, but it is pretty good and adds, I would say, definitely adds an enjoyment factor to the show. Animation. The animation for Mashle is good. It's exciting. I'd say it's definitely above average. We're not getting anywhere near Demon Slayer or JJK, but it's hitting pretty hard. Everything, all of the, after watching 86, one of my big gropes with that is the fight scenes were animated, like the animation looked good, but the choreography was extremely difficult to follow and very hard to see what the fuck was happening. With this show, I didn't feel that way at all. I felt like the fights were easy to follow, animated well, looked good, everything was clean, smooth, ran great. So we're going to put it at an 85, I think, for the animation here. Once again, it looks very, very clean. I think this is going to start becoming the standard. So, as more and more shows are coming out, this number, the animation might have to start getting normalized a little bit, because as high-quality animation becomes more and more common, then we're going to have to say that high-quality stuff is more and more the average, and then we have to wait for some insane innovations and insane choreography to really get this number up. But for now, I think we can still safely put that at an 85. Next up, the overall enjoyment. Season 1, I think, is a really good season. I will say this is a category where the manga probably takes away from the score, because I know, once again, what happens after season 1, and I know, things that I like that happen in the future and things that I don't like, and I'm comparing season 1 to those things. But season 1 on its own was a good starting point for the show. Like I said, I enjoyed watching it a lot, even though I knew everything that was going to happen. It was still a very fun show to watch, and it was exciting to see the manga come to life on the screen. So I enjoyed it a lot. I think for season 1, it's not going to be, I'm not going to have it crack the 80 mark yet. I'm going to put it just under at 79 because, like I said, above average. It's definitely above average for me, but it wasn't something that I'm like, foaming at the mouth excited for season 2 by any means. So 79, I think, is a pretty fair score for that for me. And now we are going to go ahead and calculate our total here. And then give it a score and put it on the list wherever it ends up falling. 84, 85, and 79. That is a 77.8 out of 100. Whoops. Which I think seems pretty fair. Whoa. We're going to copy that. And 77.8, we're not going to be scrolling up too much. 77.8 is right here. The numbers are off. Oh, right. Let's undo that. And I know this looks like it's, low here because it's what, 48th out of 52. But I would also like to state for the record that once again, a 70 would be an extremely average show. So it's still above average. I've obviously a lot of the shows I've watched have been above average shows because I'm trying to watch all the good ones. So there are only 2 shows that I put below average for me. So it's still a good show. It's, it's not all the way up there. It's not super high on the list here, but it is a fun watch. And I think it definitely has a lot of potential to get better as seasons continue to come out, hopefully. So that's it for our shark scale on Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. We've got, I want to say 3, maybe 4 more of these that are going to be coming out soon before we probably have a little bit of a gap while I watch a longer show. So be ready for those. I know I'm excited to make videos on all those. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it as always. Hopefully you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.